What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Jess. You're watching Keto Rewind. Thank you for clicking on today's video. My video today is a week 158 update of my transformation or my keto journey or my journey to rewind my health from a morbidly obese weight to a healthy weight, living a ketogenic lifestyle. So today's topic is going to be about emotional eating. But before I get to that, yes, it is a day late. Normally I post on Mondays. Yesterday my kids were home from school. It's a holiday. My husband was out. So we just had a family day and enjoyed the day. We actually even had really good weather. I believe we got to 80 degrees in February. So we were going to enjoy that day. It's been so cold. I feel like winter is a never-ending thing. So I was really happy to have a warm day where we could go out and just play softball, you know, have a good family day. So anyways, that's why today's video is a day late. Now, speaking of that, today is Tuesday, and so basically I guess this day won't happen again for like 400 more years. So enjoy February 22nd of 2022 on a Tuesday. So but anyways, let's get into the fun part of the video. So currently we're doing the Rewind 90 challenge, which is a challenge that's a 3-month challenge that I'm trying to nail a bunch of things in the next 90 days to help me get to my goal weight. So that means working on the eating part of it, the emotional side of it, the physical side of it, you know, like all of that in one. And so when it comes to the part of the challenge that for me I was struggling in, and that was to coming up with a routine and sticking to it, being more organized, trying to not be so chaotic in my life. Well, I have nailed that part. I got the routine down. I've got the gym situation going. I don't skip workouts. In fact, this past week alone, I worked out for an hour a day, plus I went for a walk, you know, just a leisurely walk. But like I spent most of my time last week working out. So I'm really proud of that. I've been consistent with that, and I'm like, yes, I feel good, and I really have that part of this lifestyle figured out. It's now gotten to the point where it feels like my normal. It doesn't feel like I have to make that effort to go do my workout. So nailed that, check. As far as the meal planning and all of that thing where I'm making sure I'm grocery shopping for what I need, I keep those things in the house. I'm making my meals 3 times a day, you know, like avoiding eating out, nailed that. So those parts of the challenge I've been really good at. So the parts that I could use improvement on is tracking macros. I got sloppy and I didn't track dinners last week. So I got breakfast and lunch all tracked, but then I wouldn't take that time to track dinner. So that part I'm gonna need to work hard on and get that dinner part of all the things is the one I really should be tracking, because there's a lot of mindless eating when it comes to dinner. I'm gonna make sure I step up my game. So when it comes to the emotional side of things though, this is where I am failing. I am not making that effort everywhere. I'm only focusing on the things that are easy to do. I'm not focusing on the things that I need to do, that are hard, that are deep, that are things that will probably help everything else. So it's like, again, it was convenient for me and awesome that we got to have a family day yesterday, because that meant I got a whole nother day before I had to make this video. And a whole nother day where I didn't have to face this part of the journey. And the emotional side or the mental side of the weight loss journey is that's the sucker punch. You know, it is the toughest part. Anybody can eat the foods on a diet or in a lifestyle, but to actually get to the root of the problem of the emotional side of the eating, that's the hard part. And it's the reason why I've avoided it, and I'm midway through the challenge and I have not really been working on this. So at the halfway point of the challenge, it's time for me to own this side of the journey. So for instance, last week we had Valentine's Day, right? My kids got so much Valentine's Day candy from school. They got stuff from their grandparents. They got stuff from me. You know, like there was just so much candy in the house this past week. And it's like I walk by and it's like, it gives me this feeling of, there's something wrong with me, like I'm a freak, because I walk by and I see their candy, which I never eat their candy, it's theirs. I'm just not gonna go down that path to steal their candy, especially if I'm not supposed to be having it, right? So, but I walk by it in the kitchen and it just triggers me to start thinking like, well, why do I want that so bad? Why do I have to be triggered by that Reese's peanut butter egg? Like, why can't I just walk past it, ignore it, and not be triggered by it? So a lot of those emotions this past week where I could stay strong and avoided it, but those thoughts were like, why do I have to be the one that like dwells on that? It's just a piece of candy. That candy couldn't give two shits about me. Why do I want it so bad? You know, it's because it's the sugar. It's that control, that emotional fix, that great dopamine hit. You know, so it's like, it's that thing where then it gets into, well, why do I have to be so triggered about food? Why do I have to want and crave sugar? Why can't I just eat normal? And like all of those emotions. So then I'm like, you know what? I look at the calendar, I'm like, oh, I'm ovulating. That means it's the week I'm sensitive to all this stuff. It's like every week, every time I have like my cycle, it's part of like the week of the month where I'm sensitive to all this stuff. The poor me's, you know, and that's like, I hate having these emotions, but I have these emotions for a reason. And I'm somebody who's not a very emotional person. Like, I'm very hard on the edges. So it takes a lot to get me to feel emotions, because I usually fill that void by eating them. You know, it's easier than having to deal with the emotional side of things. So, with all that said, all that self-pity, all that stuff, I was like, this week, I've got to tackle this. This week, I've got to start working on these few things. And maybe if I put half the amount of effort that I'm putting into getting that workout done, if I put half that effort into the food side of things, maybe I'm gonna actually see some changes really happening. Like good, solid, turn this journey around and get to the goal. So with that said, let's talk about the emotional eating side. So for one, I didn't track food. I didn't track my dinners last week because I felt like it's like the old me inside me is like, well, you worked out for 2 hours. You don't need to track those macros, you know, like you can have it. Like all of a sudden, like that side of my emotional needs is like, you don't need to do that. You worked out a ton, you know. And then before you know it, I'm listening to it. And then by the end of the meal, I haven't tracked it. I haven't logged it. I didn't measure anything. I have no idea how much or how little I ate for dinner, you know, and then the next day I'm like, well, dang it, we're, you know, gotta do it again. So track lunch, track breakfast, comes dinner time again. All of a sudden, well, I worked out so much, I don't have to track that. It's all right, everything will work. So what I need to work on is the internal justification process that I have. When I am triggered by something, I need to ask myself some questions before I put anything in my mouth. So it's kind of like, it's like, you know, if you're gonna do a workout, you're gonna warm up first, you're gonna work out, and then you're gonna have your cool down. So why, when you're gonna go eat something, would you treat it differently? So think of it as, all right, the warm up is, I gotta answer these 4 questions to myself. You know, and then once I get the answers to those questions, I can make that decision for myself and maybe make the better choice, or maybe redirect it if I was gonna make the wrong choice. So I wanted to change these like main internal justifications. The first one, I can have this because I haven't eaten that much today. Well, if you have that thought process and you haven't been tracking your macros, how do you know you didn't eat that much? If you put like 2 tablespoons of butter on something, you can't even see the butter, you know, like it kind of like just blends in, and you can lose you can get a lot of calories in like hidden things like that. Or you had a handful of nuts that you didn't measure. Well, depending on how big your hand is, you could have 2 servings of nuts in that hand. So what I'm trying to say is, how do you know you haven't had that much? You know, like, so my thing is, I need to be tracking my macros so that I know if that is truly my outcome. If I see on my food diary that I really have only had 600 calories today, well, by all means, I need to be eating, you know? Or I'll know how much I have left so I can eat to hit those numbers. So before I just justify, well, I worked out so much, I can have it. Well, you can never outwork out a bad diet. So it doesn't matter how many hours I spend in the gym. If my diet is crap, it won't matter. You know, like you can't out eat that part of the journey. What does the macros, what does the food diary say? Because sometimes it's easy to like justify things in your head when you don't see it on paper. So the next one is like, everybody else is having junk food, why can't I? I do this one all the time. I am the fattest, I am the biggest girl in my friends group. All of my friends eat like crap, so it's so hard to watch them eat like crap and never have to deal with the weight issues that I do. You know, like I feel like I'm so self-disciplined, you know, but I'm not staying in my own lane. I don't know what they're doing in their time when I'm not there. Maybe they don't eat anything and the only time they do eat is when they're with me. You know, like I'm just saying an example. I'm not actually saying that, but I'm saying in general, I have to stay in my own lane. I only can be in charge of myself. There's so many factors that are involved between genetics, age, emotional eating habits, all of those things come into play. So just because maybe it looks like the grass is greener on the other side doesn't mean it is. And then the next one, I know I'm not hungry, but I don't care. Like I do that a lot. Like, you know, you see, you know, you have like a donut or something. Well, I always want 2 donuts. Who would want 1, but you can have 2? Well, it's that justification that, you know, I don't care. It's a cheat day. It's a cheat meal kind of thing mentality. Well, I don't care today. Well, that gets you in a lot of trouble. So the final one I have, I deserve it because I've had a bad day. I've justified so many times that eating poorly because something pissed me off, made me angry, you know, whatever the heck, stressed me out, I've justified it by that in a million different ways. So, change those justifications that I commonly have to these 4 things. First one, am I hungry? Then there's the difference between head hunger and physical hunger. Most of the time, if you are tracking your macros and you've seen that you've had 1,800 calories, you are not hungry. You know, if you're trying to lose weight and you're in a deficit, let me preface that. Don't get all hung up in what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're supposed to be 2,000 calories and you're eating 1,800, you're not hungry. You know, but if you are eating, you're supposed to eat 1,800 calories that day, but you've had 600, you probably are hungry. You know, it's your body signaling you. But you wouldn't know that unless you were tracking those macros or you know, had a food diary of some sort. So first one, am I hungry? Make sure it's true physical hunger before it's the head hunger that would that I commonly have. Next one, do I really need more food? Again, if you're tracking macros and you're looking at what you have and you've had 1,800 calories of your 1,856 calories you're allowed, do you really need food? You know, like you've definitely hit your goals for the day. You know, maybe this is emotional hunger, not head hunger, not physical hunger. Next one is, if I'm not hungry, which of my triggers is making me feel like I need to eat? And this is one that I'm really gonna work on. And I have like I wrote down what I'm gonna do for these type of triggers. The top ones are gonna be like stress, anger, boredom. Those 3 things are really the ones that get to me. So I kind of made like, if it's one of those, what do I do kind of thing. So, and then the last one is, what are my feelings now that I've recognized this? This is a question that, you know, once I identify, okay, I'm stressing right now, which is making me want to eat. What do I feel right now? And I don't know the answers to these questions. Like, this is stuff that I'm going to be working on personally. So this is what I think will help me, because I'm not answering these questions. I couldn't tell you any of these answers now. You know, like, I don't know how I feel. All I feel is like, you suck, you're a loser, you know, when I eat something bad. But that's not always going to be the way I'm feeling in that moment. So I need to identify that part so that I know what I can work on. You know, if I'm self-pitying myself, maybe I can work on, well, you know, some body positive type things. So when I say I'm going to replace the emotions, those 3 triggers, with what to do. Okay, I identified it's stress. I identified it's boredom. I identified it's I'm angry about something. Here's what I've planned to do for myself to change those coping habits. First one is, if it's stress, Going for a walk, oh my God, it's like one of my favorite things to do. I put my headphones in, or earbuds, whatever, and I just go for a walk. I put a good playlist on, and even 15 minutes, just a simple mosey around the block. I'm a changed person. I crave those walks. I love walking. So when I'm stressing about something and I need to redirect those feelings, I'm gonna go for a walk. And if I have to walk 3 times a day, I will, you know? But also, there's something I want to start trying is meditation. It's where you get centered. You block all of that noise that's out, and you just have that 10, 15 minutes of quiet in your head. You're like, and that's something I've not really ever focused on, and I'm going to try meditation. It's kind of like I've been scared off by it. Like it's like I couldn't do it, or it's weird. So I'm going to try it. You know, I'm just going to stop judging it. I'm going to try it. Maybe I need 5 minutes to meditate myself to redirect the habits, you know. Take a hot bath. Go shopping. You know, you do all this work, you get this new body, and, you know, sometimes just doing those fun things can bring you joy, and it's like, oh my goodness, you know, do some shopping. Go to a thrift store, go online, hop on Amazon, do some shopping within reason, obviously. So the other thing is, if I'm bored, what am I gonna do? Well, I am not the best person when it comes to, if you text me, you call me, you email me, you tag me in Facebook, you tag me on Instagram, I am the worst at responding. Because like I'll be in the middle of something and I'll mentally respond, and then I'll forget about it, and then I never respond. You know, because now there's new stuff going on. So I'm the worst about that. So I'm gonna try calling and texting a friend. I'll find something like a Netflix or like a movie or something, put that on, or I'm gonna read a book. I always say I want to read a book, and I don't. And like self-help books might really help me right now. In those moments when I'm just bored, instead of turning to food, open a book and get lost in it. And then the last one, mad. One of the things, but if I'm mad, I've got to do is I thrive more on physical release. So I like to go to the gym and pump some iron, lift something heavy, you know, like that thing where maybe I'm gonna have to get a punching bag. I don't know, but sometimes things get under your skin, and sometimes the best way to cope for it is to, you know, maybe hit some softballs and smash that ball, you know, go play some basketball, you know, like go to the gym, do something physical. You know, if the meditation side of things was not working or wasn't appropriate for that particular moment, you know, try the physical side of things to get it out, you know. So basically what I'm trying to say is I have not been putting my best effort in when it came to my emotional well-being in this challenge. I focused on the easy things that I could do, you know, like making that routine, making the meal plan, you know, avoiding eating out, that kind of thing. Those things are easy to fix. And it's why it was like, I could make progress by addressing those, and I would leave like the elephant in the room and think it'll go away. Well, it doesn't go away. So when it came to addressing the emotional side of things, well, this is where I've got to put the remaining part of this challenge. This is where my effort's going to be. You know, besides, if you look at it as a checklist, I've got most of my boxes checked off. I've done awesome. But there's still huge areas of improvement, and that means I really need to focus on what is happening when I'm in that emotional phase where I want to cope with food. And that's something that is probably what's been missing all this time in my journey, because it's easy, you know, those other things, like I said, those other things are so easy to fix and do. It's way harder to feel uncomfortable and work on yourself, because we don't like to feel uncomfortable. We don't like that. We like quick fixes, you know. And when you're feeling uncomfortable because you're changing the way you cope with other things that are better, healthier habits, coping skills, there's this like mucky middle of just discomfort. So that's why this part is tough, and that's why I've been avoiding it, because I know this part is like, ugh, I gotta dig deep, because my emotional eating is constantly sabotaging my progress. So with that said, I will obviously link this below what I'm going to be doing, but I highly recommend, if you are like me and you're an emotional eater and you're not addressing it, do it with me, address this with me, let's dig deep. Or there's the, I mean, I even considered talking to somebody, like getting a therapist. You know, like that's one thing, it's the only thing I haven't tried is doing that. So if this doesn't work, I'm going that route next, because I've got to get a hold on this part of my journey, because it's almost like I'm starting to feel like this is a diet again. Like I started off really good and doing great, you know, eating wise, didn't feel any of that restriction, didn't feel all that, you know, like it felt good, it felt like a lifestyle. And now I'm at the point, I'm halfway through this challenge, and it's starting to feel like a diet where I'm obsessing over the food, I'm obsessing over all these little things, and it's not living the lifestyle. So that's why it's now time to address the emotional side of things, and why sugar, why eating crap constantly keeps pulling at me, you know, when something goes wrong, where I'm stressed, or I'm bored, I'm angry, I'm mad. Why do I have to turn to food when there's so many other ways that I can be better? So anyways, I hope that all makes sense. It's probably crazy. I don't know. But that is where I am at in my journey. But I tell you one thing, but if there's one thing you can say 158 weeks into this challenge is I am not a quitter. I am up for doing whatever I need to do to make myself better. Because in the end of the day, that is the goal here. I just want to be better every chance I get. So, and that is my story. So I have a little bit of a head cold, but that's not going to stop me from going to work out. But I'm definitely going to make sure I track my macros this week, and I start writing down the emotional side of the eating, and we'll see. So I'll see you next week. Wish me luck. Comment below if you are an emotional eater like me and what you do to cope and to redirect those old habits. So I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for following my journey. Thank you for being a true supporter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah! Bye-bye.